Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Lab podcast. My name's Thomas Bailey. Alongside me, Alex Miley. As you say hello, Alex, we're ready to go.
Hello.
We got a big day for you guys here tonight. We are going to do a college football playoff bracket with both of our predictions for the CFP in its first ever 12-man playoff. It should be very fun and exciting. After that, we'll get to some MLB signings with the free agency period continuing. The winter meetings just now kicking into effect with Juan Soto finally deciding and Max Fried as well. Two of the big fish so far, including Willy Adames as well. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens. Moving into the next thing, it will be the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. We'll talk about their heartbreaking losses, and we'll also talk
You
about the Sabres' horrendous
being
losing streak,
poverty
which
again.
is now up to 7 games. But we'll get to that in a little while. First, let's start with some positive stuff. And I'm going to talk to you here about some college football. Finalists for the Heisman were officially announced. They are Cam Ward of the Miami Hurricanes, Oregon Ducks quarterback Dylan Gabriel, and then Travis Hunter, the phenom wide receiver / cornerback for the Colorado Buffaloes. And lastly, the Boise State Broncos, Ashton
Yeah.
Jeanty. Who do you have winning the Heisman? Is it pro Jeanty? Is it pro Hunter? Will you make the surprise pick of one of the quarterbacks? Who do you got as your
I,
Heisman, Alex?
I'm pro Genti. I understand the argument for Travis Hunter. I think people that say, "Oh, he'll just win it based on snaps," I think that's very disingenuous. What Travis Hunter is doing is absolutely insane, and I think he'd win it 9 times out of 10 for the Heisman. I just think what Ashton Jeanty is having the second greatest season ever from a running back. If he doesn't win it this year, I don't think another running back should ever win it again because that's just not fair. He is second all time in rushing yards, top whatever in touchdowns, while doing this behind not a very good offensive line. Everyone's acting like he's playing behind a Wisconsin or a Notre Dame offensive line. He is not. He's playing behind Boise State's offensive line, where he is second in the country in rushing yards after contact. He has more yards after contact than anyone has in total. Like he has like 1,800 yards after contact. It is absolutely insane what he's doing. Which that's like 2/3 of his yards coming after contact, which means the offensive line isn't really doing much for him. I know a lot of it's because people are loading the box, which is even crazier. It's not like Boise State has this potent passing attack or this potent wide receiver that teams have to be worried about, which opens things up for Jeanty. Everyone knows the only real thing that's good about Boise State is Ashton Jeanty. Yes, Matic Manson can
And the
be
Blue
all
Field.
right. He can kind of make you miss. He can kind of make you pay if you over commit to Jeanty. He's not awful, but you're not afraid of him. What you do to stop Boise State is you load the box. You put 7, 8, even 9 guys in the box at a time, and it doesn't matter. He's still with 8 guys in the box. He's averaging like 7.5 yards or carry. That is just absolutely absurd. I don't understand how people are trying to discredit. Oh, we've never seen this out of Travis. We've never seen someone do what Travis Hunter is doing. We've only seen someone do what Ashton Jeanty is doing one other time, and it was Barry Sanders of all people. Are you kidding me? Like, we're comparing him to Barry Sanders, and people are like, oh, well, Melvin Gordon had this many yards and this many touchdowns in 2014 and didn't win it. Yeah, it's because Marcus Mariota had over 50 yards and 3 picks. Yeah, if there was a quarterback this year that had over or not 50 yards, there was a quarterback this year that had over 50 touchdowns and 3 picks. Yeah, they'd be a runaway favorite because that doesn't happen every year. And then I think someone was bringing up another running back, I think maybe from like UCF or something from 08 that had a crazy season, or 07 it was. Yeah, when Tim Tebow won his Heisman, another historic. So yeah, sometimes running backs when they have historic seasons don't win it because quarterbacks are having historic seasons because it's a quarterback, not a wide receiver or a corner. You take Travis Hunter off Colorado, they're probably 7-5, maybe 8-4, because they still have Shedeur. They still have some other good receivers. They have an improving offensive line. Yeah, that defense is probably cooked, but they can still put up a lot of points. You take Ashton Jeanty off Boise State, they're what, 6-6, maybe 7-5. Like that team would be bad. He is carrying them. Not only carried them to the college football playoff, but is the nine. Oh, they had him ranked as the 9th overall team, and they got the 3 seed in the bye because they were the 3rd highest conference champ. That is, or maybe the 10th overall team for boys. That I don't remember the exact number, but that is extremely impressive. Yeah, it was 9th. Yep, extremely impressive behind basically just one guy. Colorado, while what Travis Hunter's doing is insane, they're not relying on just him to be able to win these games. And people, the scheduling. Oh, Boise State hasn't really played anyone. Who has Colorado played? The best team I think they've played is what? Nebraska, Kansas State. Have they played a single team that's ranked right now? Yeah, because Kansas State's not even ranked. They did not play a single ranked team this year, I'm pretty sure. I mean, because I don't think they played Iowa State. They didn't play BYU, and they didn't play Arizona State. Those are the ranked teams in the Big 12. They didn't play any of them. So they didn't play a single ranked team. At least Boise State did play a ranked team. Yeah, they lost by 3 points in Oregon, who's the number one team in college football. And they lost to him by 3 points because of Ashton Jeanty alone. Like, I just don't I don't think I hate people who downplay Travis Hunter. I hate people who downplay Ashton Jeanty. They are both having historic seasons, but what Jeanty's doing is more valuable to his team, and he is doing it with less talent around him, and that is why I think Jeanty should win the award. But based on everything I've seen, I think Travis ends up getting it, even though I highly disagree.
Yeah, I'm also going to agree here. I really think that Ashton Jeanty should win the award as well. I feel like the thing is, though, for Travis Hunter is one big thing that a lot of people aren't really looking at, and in my opinion, really scares me a lot here, is where he goes in the draft, where Travis Hunter ends up going, because I'm not going to lie to you, that is the biggest thing to happen to the sports, or I should say football in general, in what will probably be our lifetime, for the simple fact that if Travis Hunter goes to the wrong team and he doesn't pan out, people are going to shy away from taking these double-sided players, the players that play offense and defense, because, oh, well, Travis Hunter didn't work. Travis Hunter was supposed to be hyped up to be this great guy, and then he wasn't. So realistically, if Travis Hunter goes into this draft and gets drafted to somewhere where he's not going to fit and he doesn't work out and he ends up becoming a bust wherever, right? That can be a really big thing moving forward for the rest of the league and realistically college football, because you're starting to see people try to work in that rotation of playing offense and defense as a two-way player, much like Shohei Ohtani's doing in baseball, where he's pitching and hitting. And that's the thing, is that's obviously not as bad because we've seen pitchers hit before, just not at the level of Ohtani. And see, the thing is, this is basically their version of that. And realistically, if Ohtani didn't work out, how many more pitchers that you see would also be trying to make like a hitting career as well? You wouldn't see any of them. You wouldn't see anybody making those kinds of moves, anybody doing that. And realistically, I think the same thing can be said about Travis Hunter. So that is a big thing here. I think just because of a little bit of bias in regard to something like that, he'll probably end up winning the Heisman Trophy. I don't think it's a bad selection by any means, because he is a generational talent. He can do both things at a high level. He's just not the best at either of those positions, in my opinion. And the thing is I understand that he's still a very good corner. He's still a very good this, very good that. He's not going to beat Will Johnson to me. Benjamin Morrison's iffy. I think he's back and forth with Benjamin Morrison of Notre Dame. But I think that even if you put him at 2, then you have the wide receivers, and I don't even know if he's top 5 sometimes. So realistically, it can be an interesting situation. Obviously, McMillan, T-Mac, he's going to definitely be the number 1 receiver. More than likely, you still have Luther Burden as well and others. Bless you.
Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams.
Exactly. So realistically, if you think about those kinds of things, there's a lot of variability in what you can rank Travis Hunter. But Ashton Jeanty is number 1 running back by all means. He may be going down as one of the best running backs, if not the best running back of all time in college football. He's right up there with Barry Sanders, who we all know is one of the best running backs in NFL history. And for that simple fact that realistically, even to this day, Barry Sanders holds the NFL record for most yards per carry in the NFL's history. And if he would have had the longevity of Emmitt Smith, he damn well would have end up going down as the all-time leading rusher in NFL history. And for this kid to be doing what he was doing in college and to be undermining of that is just absolute blasphemy. I don't care if he had the best offensive line in the game. I don't care what the hell happens. But realistically, for those numbers to be put up, I think Ashton Jeanty should win. Unfortunately,
quick trivia question for you.
What's up?
Who was Barry Sanders a backup to in college?
Who was Barry Sanders a backup to? Where did Barry Sanders go again?
Oklahoma State. Who was the running back the season before because Barry Sanders only started for one season. Who was the starter over him the year before?
Was it Tony Dorsett? No. Emmitt Smith?
No.
No way, right? Is it an NFL veteran?
Oh yeah, you know him. You definitely you love him. You know him for sure.
I love him.
Oh, for sure. I hope
Oh,
you do.
Thurman Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
shit.
I love knowing that.
I just thought about that. I completely forgot he went to Oklahoma
Thurman won
State.
the Heisman too, like back-to-back years. I'm pretty sure because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Thurman won it, then Barry won it
Yeah.
back-to-back years, which is crazy.
It's just
I always like to anytime someone brings up Barry Sanders, I always like to bring that up because, well, obviously being a Bills fan, it's a cool little
right.
trivia tidbit.
Yeah. I do think nonetheless, though, that Ashton Jeanty should definitely get it. And I hate the people that are undermining those things and stuff. And realistically, if you're going to say of how bad of an offensive line, how good, not how bad, but like that Ashton Jeanty has to rely on his offensive line, I understand that. But at the same time, I feel like that kind of gets canceled out by the fact that that Ashton Jeanty's opponent in this, Travis Hunter, isn't even like the best player at either of his positions. So realistically, we'll see how it unfolds.
For wide receiver, he has to rely on his quarterback if you're going to make that argument.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and the play caller for scheming him open. You know, and just you see, that's the thing is I don't understand it, but nonetheless, I think Jeanty should win it. I think Hunter will win it, unfortunately. So, moving into the main part of this, we have some college football playoff talk to do. The playoff picture is officially set. SMU losing to Clemson in the ACC championship game. Clemson ends up as the final seed as 12. Yes, we did. So they will be the number 12 seed. Number 11
6-0 if you
is
include
SMU.
Army and Tulane.
Yeah. Number 11 is SMU. They are right there in the thick of things. Then we move to number 10, the Indiana Hoosiers, absolutely blowing the doors off Purdue 66-0. After the loss 38-15 to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Moving into the number 9 seed, this is where we get interesting. It's Tennessee. And then the 8th seed being Ohio State. A lot of people have been a little annoyed at the fact that these are two of the best teams in the CFP. They're going against each other in round 1. I've heard a lot of that. So I don't really know what people are thinking here. I really like it. I think it's going to be interesting. Out of all the games that are coming up, the Ohio State-Tennessee game, in my opinion, is going to be the best. But
Ohio State's favored by 7.5.
That's crazy. Really?
I'd take Tennessee plus that. I think Ohio State would win Tennessee. It. Spoiler, but I think Tennessee at least keeps it a touchdown game.
Right. Nonetheless, though, we move into the number 7 seed. That's where Notre Dame comes in. Notre Dame will be taking on Indiana, a battle between the state of the Indiana homeland. Moving to the number 6 seed, it is the Penn State Nittany Lions, where Happy Valley will get their first ever home playoff game. This is the first playoff game in team history for Penn State. Bless you.
Thank you.
The number 6 Nittany Lions will take on the Mustangs. That will be the second game out of the bracket. Then moving into the 5 seed, we have Texas, who will be taking on the 12 seed Clemson Tigers. That should be an interesting game as well. That will be Saturday at 4. And then lastly, the 4 top teams, Arizona State of the Big 12, and then the Mountain West big winner is Boise State at 3. Number 2, Georgia out of the SEC beating Texas in the championship game. And lastly, the number 1 ranked Oregon Ducks of the Big Ten, newly involved in the Big Ten after their transferation over from the Pac-12. With that out of the way, we have the seeding out of the way. First game is Friday night on ESPN and ABC, December 20th. So 1 week from this Friday, and it's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at home taking on the Indiana Hoosiers. It's Curtis Rourke. It's Riley Leonard, 2 quarterbacks that transferred after their junior years to play their senior ball elsewhere. Which one of the seniors is going to live on for another day, and which senior will be looking ahead to their pro career? Notre Dame, Indiana. Alex, who do you got?
Wait, quick question. Do we want to do it how we've done like other predictions where we go round by round, or we're doing game by game? I don't care either.
I think game by game is easier. I wrote down all my scores. Did you write down all yours, or you just?
No, I already know who I think is going to win all the matchups, but I'll kind of just think of it on the fly for scores. I'm going to go with Notre Dame winning this game 30-20. I think Notre Dame is actually a good team this year. I think them not playing in a conference championship is making them seem a little bit worse or like hurting their reputation, but I genuinely think they are a pretty good team. I don't think Indiana is a bad team per se. I just think that Oregon has the more experienced team.
You
They've
mean Notre Dame?
more, little more, yeah. They're
You
a
said
little more bad.
Oregon.
Yeah, they're a little more battle tested. I just trust them a little bit more, even though they haven't really played many teams this year either. I'm still going to go with them to get the win at home, 30-20.
Yeah, I think that Curtis Rourke's a solid quarterback, and I really like what Indiana's done this year. They've been a massive shock to everybody, but I think their run ends here. I mean, I understand that this isn't how you want it to end, but Notre Dame's a better team than the number 7 seed. I really think they got snubbed out of being the 6th seed here. Penn State over them is a little iffy in my opinion. We'll get to that maybe later on, depending on who all wins they could end up playing. Notre Dame and Indiana, though, this is going to be a very close game. I think it's going to end up being a one-score game just due to the fact that this Indiana team is playing in-state. It's a rivalry game more than anything to me in my head. Same state. There's going to be pretty close competition in the stands as well. Go ahead and give me Notre Dame, though. 24-20 to kick off the college football playoff with a victory. They'll move on to the second round of the playoffs, in which that they will be playing the Georgia Bulldogs, who may be without Carson Beck. We'll see what ends up happening. For this, for my prediction, I'm throwing this out there right now. I'm predicting Carson Beck does not play, and it will be Gunnar Stockton playing. So just so we understand that for my next round. However, we have another game to get to before then. Saturday, the slate is 3 games. We start at noon. It is Penn State and Happy Valley taking on the SMU Mustangs. Mustangs with a heartbreaking loss after Colin Rogers missed a game-tying field goal at the end. Wait, I think it was tying field goal, right? Against no, it was Colin. It was Hauser who hit the game winner for Clemson. Pardon, sorry, against the Mustangs, which broke their hearts and potentially kept them out of a first-round bye. In my opinion, it did. I think SMU would have been ranked higher than Arizona State.
Yeah, for sure.
But either way, they're playing in round 1. They're going on the road to Happy Valley, one of the tougher environments in college football. Do the Nittany Lions get this one done at home, or do the Mustangs pull off what would be deemed an upset with Greg Jennings?
Yeah, they're going to, for the first time in a while, Penn State's going to be playing against a good team, and they're going to come away victorious. They're going to actually be happy in the Valley. Penn State is going to win this game. I know Penn State can't really beat good teams. They can't really beat contenders. This is going to be the first time they do since 2016, beating a team when it matters, because they haven't been able to do that ever. But now I think they win this game. I just don't really like SMU. I think that while Penn State and SMU haven't really played many people, I think the Big Ten is better than the ACC, so I think their competition has been tougher. And they've played it pretty close with Oregon and Ohio State, 2 very, very good teams, while SMU lost to Clemson, who I think is much worse than Oregon and Ohio State. So because of that, I think Penn State is the better team, and they're at home, and SMU has to travel from Texas all the way up, so it's a far travel. So because of that, I'm going to give the edge to Penn State to win this game 27-13. I don't think this game is particularly close.
Yeah, I also have a Penn State Nittany Lions win. I do think that SMU is a solid team, and I don't mind them at all because of the fact that it's just fun to see new teams emerge onto the scene, especially with Kevin Jennings, who's looked absolutely amazing. He's a sophomore quarterback, so expect this team to be good for a couple more seasons. Brashard Smith is a senior, though, so he will be gone, the senior running back. But I do think, nonetheless, that this SMU team, they put up a valiant effort this year. They had a very fun season. I think that they're going to run it back next year with a similar team in a lot of facets. If they can get a running back from the transfer portal, I think that SMU is going to be right back where they were this year, if not even better, due to their freshman recruiting class. I do think that SMU is a solid team, but having to travel all the way up to Penn State in a cold weather game, more than likely, even though it is at noon, it's still going to be pretty cold up here in the northern states of Pennsylvania. And I do think that Penn State gets this one done, though. 28-17 is my final score. I think SMU gets a late touchdown to make the score a little bit better, but I think 28-10 is where it's mostly at. We'll see what ends up happening, but the winner of this game plays the Boise State Broncos, so that means Penn State will be taking on Boise State in the next round of the college football playoff. But before that, we move into the 4 o'clock game right there, mushy middle of this Saturday slate on December 21st. It is the Texas Longhorns hosting at the Battle of Alamo, taking on the Clemson Tigers with Dabo Swinney's unit, who just won the ACC championship. Do they have it in them to take down the number 5 Longhorns? Does Quinn Ewers go out with a loss in round 1, or does Cade Klubnik fall in this game? Who do you got, Alex? The 5 versus 12, Longhorns, Tigers, who you got?
I really do think this is actually going to be a very close game. Texas hasn't really beaten any one of the two good teams they've played is Georgia. Their offense
A&M.
hasn't looked great. I mean, A&M's good, but not like great or anything.
That's fair. That's fair.
Anyways, yeah, I guess that's their best win would be A&M. But A&M's like the 6th best team in the SEC, so it's not like it's super, super impressive. Really 7th best team in the SEC, so it's not like it's they're on like the fringe of being ranked. But anyways, I think Clemson has a very good defense against a struggling Quinn Ewers and Texas offense. I just don't think Quinn Ewers is that good. I don't think this Texas offense is that good, and I think Clemson has a good defense, so I think they can keep this close. And as much as I've shit on Cade Klubnik and I have my issues with him, and I don't think he's that great, he has looked better as of late, and because of that, I think he can at least put a couple of points on the board and make this game really, really close. But I ultimately I do think Texas is the more talented team, so I'm going to go with Texas, and I do think their quarterback's better, so I'm going to go Texas 20-17.
Yeah, I think that this game is going to be a little bit more high scoring on Texas's end. I think that Clemson's a good team, don't get me wrong, but Cade Klubnik versus Quinn Ewers. I understand he didn't play that great against Georgia, but it is the Georgia Bulldogs. Their defensive front is really good. And that's one thing that I don't think Clemson can do is get enough pressure on Quinn Ewers. When he has time in the pocket, he can really dissect the defense, and I think that he's going to do that in this game a lot of the time. They're really a team that feeds off that big, deep ball as well, and I do think that this is going to be an interesting game for Terrell going up against Isaiah Bond, but I think nonetheless that Clemson's going to turn the ball over once or twice in this game. It is the best defense in the country, or at least I think it's in the top 5 at the very least. Texas's unit is, and Clemson's probably in the top 20 to 30 range, I would say, but I wouldn't say anything crazy like top 10. So because of that, I just trust their defense just a tiny bit more and their quarterback due to the offensive line finally being healthy. Kelvin Banks should be back for this game. So give me the Longhorns. Horns up to take this one at home, as we have yet to have an upset yet, and I don't know if we'll find one here Saturday night on ABC/ESPN. The game of the weekend, in my opinion, the number 8 Ohio State Buckeyes, who missed out on the chance to get a first-round bye by losing to Michigan in their final game 13-10. Takes on the Tennessee Volunteers of the SEC, the number 9 seed in this year's playoff. They have some quality wins. Is it enough, though? Will Nico Iamaleava lead them to victory, or does Will Howard and the Buckeyes get this one done in their home stadium? Who do you got, Alex?
So I already did spoil it earlier, but I am going to go with Ohio State. I think they're the better talented team. Quarterbacks, I think about a wash, honestly. Nico, I think, has higher potential, and I think will be better down the road, but he's still only a freshman. He's still got a lot to improve. And Will Howard's good, but not great. I do worry about Ohio State's offensive line being able to keep up against Tennessee's very good defensive line, obviously with James Pierce and Norman Lott. I think those two guys could really wreak havoc on the run game. But if Ohio State actually learned something maybe from the Michigan game, and they realize, oh, maybe we can't run the ball, but we have Jeremiah Smith and Mecca Buka and Carnell Tate. Let's air it out. Maybe if they decide to do that, I think they can win this game. And not to mention, Ohio State has arguably the best defense in all of college football. I think they have the best. I think this defense is just loaded. I mean, JT Tumalo, Jack Sawyer, Igbinosa,
Williams, Tyleik Williams,
Caleb Downs,
Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, I mentioned Sawyer. Like they're just loaded. I can't even think of their other corner. But I know they have another really good another Denzel Burke. Like they have so many NFL talented draftable guys just all over this defense, and it has been playing its ass off. I mean, the only game where they allowed more than like 2 touchdowns was the Oregon game, and Oregon's offense has been able to do that on everyone. So I don't think that's more. I think that's more on Oregon than it is on Ohio State. And I think Ohio State kind of shuts down or slows down this Tennessee offense that is pretty good. I mean, Dylan Sampson's one of the best running backs in the nation. They can kind of beat you both ways through the air and through the ground. But I think Ohio State wins this game 24-17.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be a little bit higher scoring than that. I think it's going to be very close nonetheless. I have Ohio State 31-24 in this game. I think that if this was a year from now and this is the exact same matchup with a little bit more experience for Nico Iamaleava, I think they might win this game. And that's even if you kept all the players from Ohio State in their electric defense and things like that. I still think that they would win this game if Nico had just a little bit more experience. Unfortunately, though, we are in the reality here, and that is that he is not. I do think he's a solid quarterback. This is a solid team. I think that Ryan Day is going to be excited for this game. He's going to be ready to go after what he saw last time out from that offense. So if the offense can get going in this game, it should be no problem to winning this one. However, if the offense struggles, I don't think that they get this game at all. However, I do think they do not struggle, and that is a Ohio State Buckeye win, 31-24, setting the stage for the number 3 seed Boise State Broncos to host the Penn State Nittany Lions in the Fiesta Bowl. The Peach Bowl being the Arizona State Sun Devils taking on the Texas Longhorns in the 4-5. The number 8 seeded Ohio State Buckeyes traveling for the Rose Bowl to take on Oregon. And then the last matchup in the Sugar Bowl, it is the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs taking on the number 7 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So it is 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, and 4, 5. Literally the highest seeds are all remaining at this point. So we're going to start it off with that Fiesta Bowl. It is a Tuesday night game on December 31st, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Fiesta Bowl between the Boise State Broncos and the Penn State Nittany Lions. Oh, pardon. Does Ashton Jeanty tear up Penn State and get the Broncos a key win in a college football playoff game? Or do the Penn State Nittany Lions advance to the Final Four in this bracket?
Well, if any of you guys know anything about college football, you know that Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl, some magic just happens. I mean, 2008, when they ran that Statue of Liberty to upstate Oklahoma, one of the greatest college football games ever played. And I think it's going to happen again. Give me Ashton Jeanty and then Boise State Broncos to pull off the upset. I don't care. No one's been able to stop Jeanty all year. Oregon couldn't stop him. Penn State's not going to stop him. That man is insane. That brother is nuts. He is the best player in college football right now, and I don't think it's particularly close. You know, sometimes when you're out talented, when you're outmatched, you need an equalizer. You need someone that good. You need that dog to carry you. And Ashton Jeanty is that dog. He is going to be able to carry them. I think he has a monster game. I think they try to overload the box, and Madsen can even get his piece. I think I don't know how much I trust this Boise State defense, but how much I might trust him more than I trust Drew Aller in a big game because he sucks. So give me Boise State to win this game 24-21. Jeanty goes crazy, over 200 yards in all 3 of their touchdowns. I'm excited for that. I want to see Jeanty just tear up another Big Ten school and actually come away with the win. Plus, it would be funny seeing all the delusional Penn State fans cry after they lose.
Yeah, true. It would be interesting. However, I don't think that's going to be the case yet. I have Penn State winning. I really do like Boise State. I think Ashton Jeanty's great, but hear me out. Penn State looked amazing against the Oregon Ducks in the championship game, and I think that's something that we have to kind of not overlook here. And yes, Boise State did keep it close with Oregon, but that was way back at the beginning of the season. So because of that, I think Penn State doing that more recently, it just shows how much of a team that they can really be. Drew Aller tore up one of the best defenses in the country that day against Oregon. So I do think that if they can move on past SMU, they'll have a little bit more speed, a little bit more steam in this kind of a college football setting. And that's going to lead them past Boise State. I do think that Ashton Jeanty gets his piece. I think he has a great game, probably 150 and 2 touchdowns. However, I don't think they can win this game 28-21. Penn State wins this game. I think the key to winning for Penn State is going to be getting the ball and getting the lead early and just being able to force them to throw the ball. If they get up by 2 scores at any point in this game, you might as well turn it off. It's over. Penn State just needs to get the ball in front and keep that ball until they have a good enough lead to where Madsen has to make some plays, and I don't think he can in this setting, especially against the Penn State defense. As much as I love Ashton Jeanty, he just does not have the team around him to make this upset happen. 28-21, Nittany Lions move on to the Final Four. As we move in to Wednesday's slate, another three-game slate in this situation. It will be on January 1st, 1 p.m. We start with the Peach Bowl. It is the Arizona State Sun Devils with Cam Scatabo, absolute dog, going up against the Texas Longhorns, the number 5 ranked team. Do the Longhorns win this one, or do the Arizona State Sun Devils, despite being the higher seed, pull off the upset and take down Texas? Who do you got, Alex?
I don't. If Texas can get through Clemson, I think they roll through Arizona State even more because I actually think Clemson would beat Arizona State if they played head to head. I think Clemson is more battle tested, better coached, better defense. But I'm excited for Arizona State next year. I think if Cam Scatabo comes back, I think he has a legitimate shot at the Heisman. That dude's been cooking. And it'll be cool to see next year. They're the favorites. If he comes back, they're the favorites to instantly win the Big 12 again next year. But right now, that doesn't matter. None of that matters. Texas is just a much more talented team. Arizona State, to me, kind of seems like a Walmart Boise State where they rely on their running back and don't have a lot of outs. It's just Scatabo isn't on the level of Jeanty. Because of that, I think Texas, with the momentum after beating Clemson, wins this game handily. I'm going to go with 31-17 Texas.
Yeah, I have Texas winning this game as well, 34-20, so very similar scores, 2 touchdown wins. I do think that the Arizona State Sun Devils had a phenomenal season, but realistically, you can only go as far as Cam Scatabo can take you, and I don't think that's going to be very far against one of the best defenses in Texas. I do think that one thing that we've been doing a lot is just shitting on Quinn Ewers. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, but I don't think Arizona State's defense is nearly as at the level that they need to be to stop him in that high-flying offense. I expect Gunnar Helm to have a big game against realistically no-name linebackers in this situation. Not to disrespect Arizona State's linebackers. They just don't have many players on that defense.
Nah, disrespect them.
Yeah. And for that reason alone, I'm going to go ahead and say Texas rolls through here. And for that, they now move on to the next round of the CFP. They play the winner of this next game. That's the Rose Bowl. The Oregon Ducks as the 1 seed and the 8th-seeded Ohio State Buckeyes. They met earlier in the season in Oregon, a 32-31 thrilling game, one of the games of the season, if not the game of the year. Do you have the Ohio State Buckeyes winning this game in an upset, or do the Oregon Ducks get a playoff win for the first time since Marcus Mariota?
I want to pick Ohio State. They were my national title picks to start the year. I genuinely think if they were playing anyone else, I'd probably pick Ohio State to win. Because even though they have 2 losses, I still think Ohio State is the second best team in college football. I know that's shocking. I think Michigan was just a rivalry upset where they have physical. It's just kind of like a mental thing at that point. They just need to get over the hump. I still
Let me
think
put it this way. It was Indiana played Michigan and won 20-15, and then Ohio State played them the next week and won 38-15. So
yeah,
realistically, I just think that they got defeated because of the rivalry, much like the Browns beat the Steelers this season.
I think it's a physiological, mental rivalry thing. Obviously Ohio State's a way better team. I still think they're the second best team in the nation. I would take them against anyone else. But right now, Oregon's offense is just absolutely cooking. Dylan Gabriel's playing some of his best football right now. Tez Johnson looks absolutely unstoppable. Evan Stewart's good. Jordan James on the ground. And the difference between Ohio State this time and last time is the way you kind of can get after Oregon's defense is you kind of beat them up the gut with the run game. Obviously, you saw Penn State do that. They were able to run it all over with Nicholas Singleton, and that kind of opened things up for Tyler Warren and others down the field. The problem is Ohio State's offensive line is so banged up, and their the people they have it now aren't that good because they have no depth. So I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball that efficiently. I think Derek Harmon's going to have a big game, and because of that, I think it's going to hinder Ohio State's offense a little bit. I still think they're going to get their own. I think they're going to know that they have to pass. This is a game they're going to have to throw the ball. It's not like a Michigan game where it's going to be a low-scoring game no matter what, where they're just trying to not lose. In this game, they're going to have to throw to keep up, and we know that passing attack is lethal. So I think they can keep this game close, but this Oregon team is just firing on all cylinders, and I think they win in a very similar score from last time, but I'm going to go 31-28 Oregon.
Yeah, I do think that Oregon is in a perfect spot to win this game here. And realistically, like you mentioned, the injuries for the Buckeyes is probably what's going to end up hurting them, especially with Simmons. But I do think that this Oregon team is they're a lot more battle tested, in my opinion. I don't understand, like, realistically. I don't think Ohio State's a bad team. I don't think that they should be the eighth seed. I definitely think they should be at least, I'd say the sixth at least. I don't think there's a feasible way to put them over Texas, who has only lost to Georgia right now, only because, I get Texas had an easier schedule, but at the same time, for the voters, I guess, more than anything, I can see how you put them below Texas, but how do you put them below Penn State, even though they beat Penn State? I don't get that one. Nonetheless, though,
I think real quick, I think basically what the committee showed is they're not punishing teams for losing their conference championship game. They're basically, uh, what they're doing is comparing as if Penn State didn't lose that game. And I think that's basically all it is, which I kind of agree with because you don't want to decentivize playing in a conference championship game. But at the same time, they both have 2 losses and Ohio State beat Penn State. So I think they should be ahead also. But that is what the committee did. So I can't necessarily hate on them. I don't have too much of an issue for it because I don't want teams to be de-incentivized of playing in conference championship games because they're so much fun to watch. And, like, obviously I want
right,
the best
yeah.
players out there.
Well, no, I totally agree. It's just I don't think that even if you take away the loss of the conference championship game, I still don't think Penn State should have been higher
Oh, I
ranked
agree.
than
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Ohio State. I do think that that doesn't play a factor to me at all.
Okay, then
But
no, then I totally agree. I think
yeah, but
Ohio State's better
nonetheless,
than Penn
though,
State.
I think that this Oregon team's just got a little bit more fight in them. They're ready to go. They understand that they are the title favorites at this point. They're going to come out and they're going to play like it. It's the damn Rose Bowl. They're ready to go, and I think they're going to have this one locked up. I think they win this one 31-27, a very closely knitted football game. Is funny enough, we have very similar scores, and you're going off the top of your head. I had this written down like an hour and a half ago, so very funny to think about the fact that they're very similar. But I do think that this Oregon Ducks team is just a better team all the way around. They're a little bit healthier as well, which also plays a little bit into the implication of this game. I do think the Ducks roll in this game. Moving on, that means we're going to have Oregon versus Texas. Oregon is not getting a cupcake schedule to the college football final. They have to play Ohio State, then Texas. Not a fun path. But nonetheless, now it is up to the Georgia Bulldogs, number 2, who I think will be led by number 14, Gunnar Stockton, the sophomore quarterback, or the Notre Dame Fighting Irish led by the Duke transfer quarterback Riley Leonard in his senior season. I don't know if you have Carson Beck playing, starting, whatever. As of right now, I would very much so say it's doubtful that he even plays in this game. Who do you got winning this game? Is it going to be the Bulldogs, or will it be the Notre Dame Fighting Irish? Who do you got in the Sugar Bowl?
Honestly, I don't think it matters who plays a quarterback in this game because Carson Beck, literally, the offense was better with Gunnar Stockton in the game. I'm not saying Gunnar Stockton is better than Carson Beck's, but the offense was better. It's not like this offense was awful. They only scored 3 points with Beck, and then they scored 13 in the second half with Stockton. So I do want to give, and Stockton let him down to the goal line before he got injured. So he basically got them to that touchdown to win the game because then Beck just came in and handed it off twice and they punched in, whatever.
Once.
But it was once, yeah, exactly. So I think Gunnar Stockton can hold his own. I think he can play some decent football here. So I don't think, and it's not like Georgia relies on their quarterback. They have probably the second best defense in all of college football. I still behind what I think Ohio State's the best. I think Georgia's probably number 2. They have stars all over the place. Again, it's Georgia. They always have defensive studs everywhere with Malachi Starks, Damon Arnett,
Mykel Williams.
Mykel Williams. I get Tyreek and Mykel Williams so mixed up.
Yeah, dude.
Names are so similar.
And then the Williams last name. Yeah.
Exactly. So Jalen Walker, like there's obviously a lot of studs on that side of the ball. And then their rushing attack's been getting a lot better. Obviously, their interior offensive line is strong. Their tackles are weak, but they do have some good guard. They have obviously Tate Ratledge is probably going to be a top 65 draft pick in this upcoming draft. And then they have a good running back duo. So I think they're going to rely on ground and pound and defense. And I think they win this game in kind of a lower scoring, just how Georgia's been winning a lot of games recently. I think they win this game 23-17.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I have 23-17 as well, but I have Notre Dame winning this football game. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought about this game way more than any of the other games, but I do think that the Fighting Irish
That's
win.
how I was with the Oregon-Ohio State game.
Yeah, honestly, I thought about the Oregon-Ohio State game less than this, only for one reason, and that's because, yes, Gunnar Stockton looked better in the game against the Texas defense, which I totally agree with that statement. I really do think he played great, lights out. But the thing is now that he's got a little bit more time to prepare, the emotions are going to probably take over at least a little bit in my mind here. And you're not playing a defense that's a slouch either. I understand Texas is a very good defense, and I don't think that Notre Dame's defense is better because they're not. But one thing they do have is the elite cornerback in Benjamin Morrison, who I don't think Texas necessarily has. Mubuka or whatever the hell.
Jahdae Barron, that's their top guy.
Oh, Jahdae. No, I know Jahdae Barron, but I'm saying Mabuka or whatever, the safety. I don't think he's on the same level. Yeah. I don't think he's on the same level as Benjamin Morrison for this defense. I do think this game's going to be very, very low scoring too. Throughout most of this game, it's probably going to be like 10-10 at halftime, if that. But I think the halftime resurgence for both of these teams is going to come in. And I think the one thing for Georgia that they kind of have showed this season that they kind of can't stop is running quarterbacks. And the thing is with Riley Leonard, you know, he can run the ball. And, I mean, Georgia showed that when they let Jalen Milroe run all over the damn place against Bama.
DJ Lagway was cooking him before he got injured.
Yeah, exactly. So for those reasons alone, I do think that he can kind of run around and really make this day very difficult for the Notre Dame, not Notre Dame, but Georgia defense. And for that reason alone,
on his own team.
Yeah, right. But I do think that Notre Dame comes away with a win here. I think another thing here is they're coming in off of a victory, honestly, in my opinion, an emotional victory as well against Indiana. I saw a post the other day when the bracket came out that Notre Dame has 6 players on their active roster that were recruited by Indiana and had revoked scholarships from the Indiana Hoosiers football program. So
when they got the new coach and stuff, they were pushed out.
Yeah, so basically, I know one of them is one of their linebackers, the middle linebacker. I can't think of his name off the top of my head for Notre Dame, but he's like one of the leaders of that defense, and there's 6 of them all together on the Notre Dame team that had scholarship offers from Indiana, and then they got revoked and then decided to go to Notre Dame instead. So they have definitely something to prove in an emotional state of mind, I guess, in this situation. So for that reason alone, I do think that coming off an emotional win like that, much like Michigan came in and played very hard against Ohio State. That's why I think that that game against Notre Dame, against Indiana, is going to be so important for this next little bit. They're going to have a huge win like that under their belt, and if they're thinking if we can beat a team that doubted us, then they're going to be on top of the world. They're going to have that kind of feeling of amazing, just sense of overall happiness, and because of that, I think it's going to play a big factor in this game. It's the biggest setting I've ever really seen Notre Dame in, at least in a long time, and I do think that they pull off a pretty decently upset in this game against Georgia. I just don't think Carson Beck plays, and for that reason, I think the Fighting Irish get this one done 23-17, meaning that I'm going to have Penn State versus Notre Dame. And
that's so gross.
Yeah. And then Oregon versus Texas. I wish that Texas and Oregon played in the college football national championship.
I want it to be Oregon, Ohio State. That would be my dream scenario because they're probably
the thing is,
it's so sad. They can't.
Impossible.
Yeah, I know. But they're my 2 favorite teams left in the tournament. Obviously, Ohio State was my pick, and then Oregon's my second favorite Power 4 school behind Florida. I love their jerseys. I loved Mariota. Yeah. Marcus Mariota is my second favorite college football player of all time behind Tim Tebow. After Tim Tebow graduated, I fell in love with Mariota, and I had an uncle that used to live in Oregon that was a big Ducks fan. So I have a couple of different reasons why I've always rooted for Oregon, and I really like them.
Nice.
Yeah, as I mentioned, they have the best jerseys in all of college football, maybe all of sports. Those eggshell, those gray eggshell jerseys with the green.
I never thought gray, green, and yellow could go so hard.
But Oregon made it work. Those jerseys are fire.
I think you could give them any color scheme and they'll find a way to turn it into something good.
It's so good. Their jerseys are nuts. So I have multiple reasons why I love Oregon. But which game were we going to talk about first? Oregon, Texas. Sorry, that I cut you off there.
It's going to be the Orange Bowl. It is 7:30 on Thursday, January 9th, and your matchup would be the Boise State Broncos and the Georgia Bulldogs in this game because I have Penn State, Notre Dame. exact opposites of each other in this one. Who do you got winning? Do the Broncos pull off this upset, or does the Georgia Bulldogs get this one done and head to the Natty?
Yeah, I hate that I'm picking Georgia because while I said Oregon's my favorite, Georgia is probably my least favorite college football team. They're Florida's biggest rival, maybe behind Florida State, but Florida State's so
I really
irrelevant
don't
that I
like
don't really
Ohio
care.
State. I really
And
don't.
and because of the fact that I hate Georgia and with how good they've been recently, it really pains me to say this. But and I love Genty. I'm picking Georgia to win this game. I think they're the team that can finally really slow down Genty a little bit. I think Genty will still have over 100 yards, but he'll have to have like a lot of carries to get so. I think he'll only have 50 yards and maybe a touchdown at halftime. They're gonna have to try and throw the ball a lot in the second half, and it's just yeah, when you have to rely if you have to rely on Madsen to win a game, good luck. So because of that, I think Georgia wins this game. I think they're just more talented than Penn State up front, obviously with Michael Williams
Georgia,
and
you mean?
Jalen. What
Georgia, you
did I?
mean? Is it Penn
Yeah,
State?
no, I said Georgia's more talented than Penn State.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, up front with Michael Williams and Jalen Walker and company. Um, I think there's another guy on their defensive line that I'm blanking on. I understand Penn State has Abdul Carter, but I still think I trust Georgia. Their defense is Malachi Starks is great coming down to the run game. Uh, Obviously, Kirby Smart's one of the best coaches in college football. So because of that, I am picking Georgia to win this game begrudgingly. I will go with 27-17 Georgia. I hate how Georgia's on this side of the bracket. I wish they were the other side's an absolute gauntlet. Ohio State, Tennessee, Texas, and Oregon. And then this side you have Notre Dame, Georgia, Penn State, and Boise State. It's like, come on. That side's kind of it. That's why personally I just want to get this out there real quick. I think that I liked the 5 automatic quals. I think that the 5 automatic qualifiers are a good thing. I think the top 5 conference champs should be able to get in. I think you should reward a group of 5. I like that. I think the buys are stupid, though. I think the 4 best teams should get buys. Realistically, the teams that should have got buys should have been Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, and if you're gonna have it rated that high, I think it would have been what? No, Penn
Notre
State. I
Dame.
think I think Penn State was ranked ahead of Notre, so it would have been Penn State. That would have evened it up a little bit more because then you would have had Notre Dame as the 5 and Ohio State as the 6. You would have had Ohio State on Georgia and Texas's side, and then you would have had, I guess, Notre Dame and Penn State on Oregon's side. I think it would have balanced it out a little bit more. I think Tennessee would have been on that side too, as they would have been, I guess, maybe the 8 or whatever. Either way, it would have balanced it out a little bit more if they had done it that way. So I'm not a big fan of the 4 buys. I hope it's kind of a 1-year thing. I hope they tested it out, realized how kind of shitty it ended up being with the 4 buys, as you have Boise State and Arizona State both getting buys over teams like Penn State, Ohio State, Tennessee, Texas. It's like that's kind of crazy. So because of that, I think that they should get rid of the buys. I just wanted to throw that in real quick as we bring it back over to you. I think we were talking about I think we were about to get into the Oregon Texas game.
I haven't said my Orange Bowl
Oh,
game yet.
my bad. I thought you did.
It's okay. Number 6 Penn State versus number 7 Notre Dame. I do think this will be a fun game. I do think that the way you beat Notre Dame is having a prolific passing and rushing attack. You kind of got to be more balanced. Unfortunately for Penn State, I don't think they have that. Same thing can really be said about this Penn State team. You got to beat them through the air more than the ground, and I understand that. But Riley Leonard can scramble, which also adds that little extra element too that can really make this game tough for the Penn State defense. And for that reason, I have Notre Dame going to the national championship game. Really, either way, I was going to have a team that I didn't think should be in the national championship to begin with. But I do think the Nittany Lions are a very good team. They definitely went on a decent run here. I mean, they played SMU and then Boise State, who outside of Ashton Genty, Boise State's really pretty bad. So because of that, I think they got the easiest route this far in the playoff. I think that, Notre Dame did beat Georgia and Indiana. Indiana is more of like one of those emotional wins, and then Georgia is one of those games where it's kind of got lucky that their starting quarterback wasn't playing. So realistically, I do think that these teams did kind of fluke here, but a 24-21 win for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, as This game should be pretty interesting. We'll see what ends up happening. But I do think that it's going to be a Mitch Jeter game-winning field goal at the end to put him over the top. Go ahead
Something
and
about
give
them
me.
Jeter boys are clutch.
Yeah, right.
As you can
So,
see, you can't really kind of see behind my door, but that is a Derek Jeter fathead, and that's a Derek Jeter poster. You can tell I really like Derek
yeah, and
Jeter.
then the sad Buffalo Sabres stuff.
Oh well, forget that exists. They're too pathetic to have my attention right now. We'll get into that later. I'm excited to rant again for the third straight episode.
Yeah, right. Moving into the opposite side here, I have Notre Dame, and you have, I believe, Georgia in the final. Who will they be playing, Oregon or Texas? It is the Cotton Bowl. The Ducks, the 1 seed, taking on the Texas Longhorns, the 5 seed. Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel. Who you got?
The Big O. Give
The
me them
Big
Ducks,
O.
baby. Give me them Ducks. They've
Not
been the
horns
best
up.
team.
No horns up.
Horns
Horns
down,
down.
baby. Horns down. Give me
Horns
Dylan
down.
Gabriel and them Ducks, baby. I think they've been the best team all year, and I think they continue to prove that. No one's been able to stop this offense. I don't think Texas is going to be the one to do that. They're firing on all cylinders. Dylan Gabriel's cooking. Obviously, we already mentioned all these reasons. Tez Johnson. The same at the end of the day, who do I trust more? Dylan Gabriel or Quinn Ewers? I'm going to go with Dylan Gabriel by a lot. I don't think Dylan Gabriel is a great NFL prospect, but I think as a college quarterback is way better than Quinn Ewers. That's for sure. Obviously, yeah, Oregon's the best team. I'm biased. I'm picking them to win. I love Oregon. Horns down. I think all the reasons why I love Oregon I've already stated earlier, so there's no reason to continue to regurgitate them. But I think this is a little bit more of a high-scoring game. I'm going to go with 34-27 Oregon.
Yeah, I think this is actually the opposite. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I think that this is one of those games where Texas's offense is going to struggle. Oh, excuse me. But I do think
Penn
that
State could score
defense,
points in Oregon. Texas could too. Because as much as I think Quinn Ewers sucks, he's better than Drew Aller.
no, that's true. But at the same time, here's the issue, though. I just think that when you get to this level of play where you're in the Cotton Bowl, it's the semifinal. The winner moves on to the national championship. This is where you start to see the defenses really step up and win you games. And this is going to be one of those games where I feel like for Oregon, because I have Oregon winning this game, I think that Oregon, more than anything here, they've shown that they can win the high-scoring games against the Ohio State Buckeyes in that 31-27 game I predicted. And now here's that defensive game where they really have to do something right on defense. And I think they will. And I do think that their offense is electric. Their offense is great. But Texas's defense can stifle anybody when they need to, and that's exactly what they're going to do for most of this game. I think Dylan Gabriel breaks through in the fourth, gets him a game-winning touchdown on the last drive, wins this one 20-17. Very fun game, despite being a little lower scoring, as both games end with a field goal difference. And I have Oregon versus Notre Dame in my national championship. When I started this is not what I thought it was going to end up being. It's just how the matchup shaked out. I'm so sorry to all the fans that are going to absolutely roast me. But, nonetheless, I do think Notre Dame's a solid team. So
I should have just picked Ohio State to be the national title, because then my preseason national title was Ohio State over Georgia. I should have just rode with it, but I'm making the switch to Oregon. As we do have Oregon, I have versus Georgia, and I think this is where Georgia runs out. I'm hoping if Georgia wins another national championship with this team, they may win another 3 in a row, because this is kind of the worst iteration of Georgia since 2020. Since the last time Georgia was this bad was when Kyle Trask and the Florida Gators hung like 50 points on their head with Kyle Trask throwing to Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts. Those were the days for Gators fans.
When Kyle Trask thought he was going to be an elite quarterback.
Yeah, well, he wasn't a good prospect, but he was a slinger to Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts, and that was also nice. Whatever. The times are coming back next year for Florida, but that's a talk for another time. But anyways, I think Oregon wins this game. Again, I just don't trust Georgia's quarterback situation that much. And Oregon, again, has scored on everyone. It's not like they haven't played good defenses. They've played Penn State's defense. They've played Ohio State's defense. It didn't matter. They hung 32 on Ohio State. They hung 45 on Penn State. Two very good defenses. So I think they can hang points on Georgia. And you said, Georgia struggles against QBs who can run. Dylan Gabriel, while not being known for running, definitely can scramble and definitely can make plays on his feet. and I think they can get some points scored. And I don't trust Georgia's quarterback situation at all. I think Oregon kind of wins this game handily. I think Texas gives them a little bit better run for their money than Georgia. As I have Oregon winning in the national champion to get their first national championship of my lifetime. I don't know if they've ever won one. 31-21. The founder of Nike can rejoice because he said he was going to give Oregon unlimited resources until they won a national championship. That's how crazy NIL's getting. I mean, Larry Ellison, the creator of what Microsoft, is giving Michigan unlimited resources to go and sway recruits their way. So the world of NIL is in full swing, and we're just here for it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm definitely not, because it makes me think of baseball and just teams being good because of having more money. But nonetheless,
oh yeah, I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying I'm gonna watch either way. Kind of.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, me too, most definitely. And that leads me to my national championship. The one-seeded Oregon Ducks made it all the way here, beating Ohio State and Texas, two of the best teams in CFP. And then Notre Dame makes it in a little bit more of an unfashioned, uncharacteristic run in Indiana and Georgia, and then
State.
And Penn State. Yes, you are indeed right. I forgot.
Is their Big Ten? Are they gonna finish the Big Ten gauntlet?
No, they are not. They are not winning this one. I have the Oregon Ducks winning this one, their first national championship in my lifetime. A very fun game. But like I mentioned, Oregon had the game where they were really good on offense against Ohio State, and then they had the game where they were better on defense against Texas. This is the game where it comes full circle for the Ducks, and they put them to shame, 35-24. Dominating win for the Oregon Ducks. I think it's probably a late touchdown, too. I think it's probably 35-17 for most of this game. And they get a late touchdown to make the score a little bit more interesting on January 20th as we crown the Oregon Ducks as national champions for this season. Both of us do, as they look to chase the national title once again next season without star quarterback Dillon Gabriel, with a couple of nice recruits as well as most likely maybe Evan Stewart, the transfer from Texas A&M, who should be going to the draft as well. Not quite sure. But moving gears to another sport, totally different. Now we're here in the MLB. And what can I tell you? I can tell you one thing for sure. We stole two Yankees. One was not very good, and one was amazing. Juan Soto, welcome to your new home, the New York goddamn Mets, baby.
Have fun paying them almost $1 billion.
15 years, 765.
Up to 805. Up to 805.
Up to 805, yes.
Have fun paying them that much money. What a bitch.
51.
Fuck you, Juan Soto. Right
51
here.
million per year with that. In regard to that, though, like we mentioned, the dominoes would start falling once Soto inevitably signed with somebody in New York. It ends up being my New York Mets. I can't tell you how exciting it is. One thing I've sadly had to come to terms, and I'm not even going to lie to you, when Juan Soto first signed with the Mets, I threw my phone across the room. And a lot of people are like, oh, you were just really excited. I literally cried for maybe 45 minutes knowing that Pete Alonso is not going to be a New York Met next year. And the saddest part is that a lot of people are saying that there's a 90%. Right now, some reports that I've been seeing, Pete Alonso is in talks with the Atlanta Braves. And if he goes to the Atlanta Braves, I'd lose my mind.
Don't they already have Matt Olson?
Matt Olson played second baseman at one point in his
Ozzie
career.
Albies?
I don't know. We'll see. If he goes to the Braves, though, I'm losing my damn mind. Nonetheless, we'll see what happens.
Yo, Pete Alonso, bitch boy Juan Soto made the subway flip. You can also come right over where we need a first baseman. Please come to the Yankees. We'll give you lots of money, and you get to hit after Aaron Judge. He'll probably be on base a lot because he's so good, and you can bring him home. You could fit right in that cleanup spot. Come on, Pete. I believe in you. Yay.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to say is I am currently, out of our predictions, 3 of the dominoes have fallen. I am 1.5 right. You may ask, how can you only be half right? If you guys don't remember, when we were talking about Max Fried, I said if the Yankees don't get Soto, expect them to get Burns or Fried. And I said more likely to get Fried because he's probably a little bit cheaper. And I just don't know if Burns is going to go to a rival like the Yankees with Orioles, whatever. I don't know. I just didn't like the fit as much as that. Fried was a better fit.
Whoa, that's so cool.
Obviously, Max Fried's a ground ball pitcher. That's Matt Blake masterclass. He loves ground ball pitchers. You see the work he's done. So I did say if the Yankees don't get Soto, I expect them to get Max Fried, and they did. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, kind of stealing that from you, but I just want to say I'm half right on that. I didn't think the Yankees were getting Fried because I thought they were getting Soto, but I said if they didn't get Soto, they get Fried, which did happen.
Yeah, it's very true. 8 years, 218 million, 27.25 million per year for the Yankees. Kind of cool thing to mention real quick. My buddy Owen got AJ Epinesa to send him a video today. So
well, maybe AJ Epinesa should focus more on keeping run contained.
Of course. I appreciate you. Hey, Owen, good to see you, buddy. It's AJ Epinesa here. We're out hanging out at the event tonight. But good to see you, buddy. I appreciate you, and go Bills, brother. Yes, sir.
Wow, that is sick, and I do love AJ Epinesa. Maybe Epinesa should be practicing more on how to keep the contained. Then he should be sending videos to your friend Owen. How is he able to get that video though? Like, how does he know? How does he have a connection to Epinesa?
He literally just posted on X. He got a jersey from his dad for Christmas, and it was an AJ Epinesa jersey, a Bills jersey, and he said so excited, and he tagged Epinesa, and then Epinesa sent him that video. So
okay,
nice little
it's pretty cool.
Yes, that's bad sick.
I have nothing bad to say about Epinesa. I like him.
Oh no, me either, man. He's a dog.
I had to throw that dig in there because he did he has been getting burned around the edge this year a little bit, and it's kind of annoying. Maybe he should focus on rushing the passer better so Stafford doesn't have 12 seconds in the pocket. But we'll get into that after we talk about baseball.
Yeah, 7-year, 182 million, 26 per year for the Giants is Willy Adames. We both called that signing as well.
Sir.
And then kind of in light fun, I don't know if you're watching this, Nick, but I'm so sorry for what I called about your Red Sox left fielder Tyler O'Neill going to the Orioles.
I'm not sorry about it. I hate
sorry.
the Red Sox.
I told you, brother. I told you to be ready for that, and it ended up happening. So
screw the Red Sox. They suck.
Yeah, right.
I love trolling them. I love trolling Red Sox fans. Caleb on Twitter.
Yeah.
The other day,
the
other day, he said, "I guarantee you, the Red Sox will have more wins than the Yankees." So then I responded with, while sitting right next to him in class, "I guarantee you, I'm going to put my nuts in your face."
Damn, that's crazy.
I was sitting right next to him in class. We just laughed about it, but I love trolling him.
Yeah, Caleb's fun. Shout out to you, Caleb. I don't think you're watching this, but maybe you are.
You should. We're starting a podcast together soon, so you should start watching mine.
Yes, exactly. A couple other things. Andre Jimenez, the catcher for the
Second baseman.
Yeah, there you go.
The key piece from the Francisco Lindor trade, if people don't remember.
Yep, I do indeed remember that.
Yeah, as a Mets fan, you probably should.
Yeah, I can't believe I said catcher. I'm thinking of Eloy Jimenez or whatever.
Yeah,
Jimenez.
You thought wrong.
So it's very similar name. It's the last name or whatever. Whatever. He's going to the Blue Jays. He was traded for Spencer Horwitz, who's the infielder. I know that much. He's an infielder. And then Toronto also got Nick Sandlin, who's, I believe, a pitcher. So there's that.
I really like this move for Toronto.
Yeah,
they obviously have their hitters and George Springer, Vlad, Bo Bichette, stuff like that. But their infield defense has been their defense in general just wasn't great last year. Now you add Andre Jimenez, who is a top 5 fielder in all of baseball, 3-time Gold Glove. Didn't he win the Platinum Glove last year? And he brings some speed to that team that they don't really have. So I think he's a perfect fit in that infield. And they didn't have to give up that much.
Yeah, it also looks like they're trying to go out and get a little bit more infield help, as Jorge Polanco was reportedly on their radar. He met
I
with
saw
them
they
and
were.
the Astros
I
today.
saw they were in on Bregman and an Alec Boehm trade too. So
They
they're
are
looking to
in
fill
on
that
the Alex
hot
Boehm
corner.
trade. They fell out of the Alex Bregman sweepstakes more than likely because the Red Sox and Yankees have entered the talks on those. Which, speaking of those two teams, they are two big teams in contention for Walker Buehler as well. The pitcher, obviously,
I don't
with
think
the
Bueller comes
Yankees
to the
going out.
Yankees. Yankees now
Yeah,
have
I don't think.
the Yankees now have 7 starters. So unless we want a
Yeah.
full time, because right now we're trying to find ways to get rid of Nestor and Marcus Stroman or move
Mhm.
them to the bullpen. So unless
Right.
Bueller's coming to be a bullpen guy, because obviously he's not going to start over Cold, Fried, Rodon. He's not going to start over Clark or Gill. How good they were last year. So there's just no room for him. So I think I wouldn't have hated the Bueller signing, but with us getting Max Fried, it kind of not really spot for him. So I think Bueller kind of seems like he'd fit perfectly with the Red Sox, who it looks like they're going to miss out on Burns, and obviously they missed out on Fried. So I think Bueller's a perfect landing spot for them to pivot to because they do need some pitching help where they don't need him to be a number one because they have a guy like Tanner Houck who looked really good last year and some young guys that can hopefully develop. I think Bueller kind of makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah, in other news, Jordan Romano goes to the Phillies. Nathan Eovaldi is back to the Rangers on a 3-year, $75 million deal, so 25 a season. The Mets and the Yankees are both.
Romano, I really like that fit for Romano and the Phillies.
I do, but I hate the fact that he's on Philly because obviously big rivals.
But like, as from a non-fan perspective, that's a really
it is an amazing fit. It's right up there with the Adames and the Giants thing for me. It's one of the best fits so far. Another thing, the Mets do want Roki Sasaki as much as there's a good chance he's just going to go to the Dodgers. Or I've seen another team that's interesting as well is the Los Angeles Angels, who are in on him as well.
I saw Sasaki wants to go West Coast, so he's probably LA or San Francisco.
Yeah, more than likely. The Mets also in on the Yankees old guy Jonathan I don't know. Loizica.
And then they also signed another Yankees old guy, Cardiac Clay Holmes, to try and turn into a starter. Have fun with that.
I won't.
If you have any heart issues, I recommend getting medication before you watch any Mets game that he'll be pitching in. He is known by Yankees fans as Cardiac Clay for a reason, because he will allow 8 million base runners, and sometimes he'll get out of it and look amazing, and sometimes he'll not get a single out and look like he has never thrown a. Yeah, he'll either look like Patrick Corbin or he'll look like Tariq Skubal. Literally, he's either Tariq Skubal or he's Patrick Corbin. There's not really much in between there.
Yeah. A couple other things. The last little thing, I guess, more than anything I wanted to touch on is the draft order. The Nationals get the top pick, and then the LA Angels are number 2. Third is Seattle Mariners. Fourth, Colorado Rockies in the 5th seed.
I can't wait for the Angels to draft the wrong person.
Yeah, exactly. Again. We'll see what ends up happening. As we kind of shift our focus to
one quick thing that we haven't really talked about for a trade. Garrett Crochet, talks are heating up there. Where do you think he ends up landing?
Ooh.
Just a quick thought. Where you just first team that pops in your mind?
Obviously the Mets. We really need pitching pretty badly. But
all right. I'm gonna go with Baltimore as the Corbin Burns replacement.
Yeah, I was gonna say if I had to think more in depth, I'd probably say Baltimore.
I think Baltimore or Boston. I feel like one of the teams that misses out on the top pitchers is gonna go get Crochet as because he can be a good 2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's your number 1 pitcher, but I think 2 or 3 he's perfect. It's almost like receivers.
And Baltimore,
he's not your number 1 receiver, but he's your number 2 or 3.
Yeah, Baltimore's got Rodriguez that they hope to take a step, and then
Grayson Rodriguez, bro.
And then Boston's got Houck. So yeah, it's like they have guys that they want to take that.
Yeah, I would say either Baltimore, the Mets, or the Red Sox.
Boston.
But yeah. I'd lean Baltimore because the Mets just signed Clay Holmes. And then for the Red Sox, I think they inevitably get Walker Buehler. So
I agree. I've been seeing a lot of reports lately, so I wanted to throw that out there before he inevitably ends up getting traded.
Yeah, that's more likely than anything. But moving into our next topic, which we're going to start with a little bit more positive, but still not positive. The Buffalo Bills, a 44-42 loss.
What is there positive to say beside in this game besides Josh Allen? Just all you gotta say is his name.
Oh no,
That's
I'm,
his
I'm just
positive.
saying that was
Oh, I
it.
just thought of another baseball thing with the Arenado got permission to seek a trade, but that's just a quick thing. What was
Yeah.
it? Oh,
I do think that this is an interesting game for the Bills. Obviously, it is a loss, and we are the first team ever with 6 touchdowns and no turnovers to lose a game. 245-0 before today. To be fair, no matter which team lost this game, one of us was going to be in that category because the Rams didn't turn the ball over either. So, and they also had 6 touchdowns. So, with that being said, that's unfortunate. The one main positive, of course, is superhero. That is Josh Allen, 6 touchdowns, 3 passing, 3 rushing. Second player in NFL history to ever do that, only with Steve Young in that
no,
category.
Otto Graham.
Oh, it is Otto Graham. You're right. Oh, Steve Young's the one that had 2 and 2
Yeah, he just passed Steve Young for the most 2 and 2. Steve
games.
Young had 4, and then Josh just had his 5th and passed him. But Otto
Yeah,
Graham is the
and
only one
Josh Allen
3 and 2.
also ended up passing a couple of Hall of Fame running backs in this game as well. So,
OJ Simpson
and Terrell Davis.
The GOAT OJ.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Model citizen OJ Simpson.
Okay, bro. My favorite massage Watson parlor. Oh,
They
him
should.
and OJ Simpson would have been best friends. They could have started a massage parlor in the back of his Ford Bronco.
I was gonna say they should open up a legal clinic, but
that'd be crazy. On the move. On the move.
They out
so
of the
bad.
Ford Bronco. You can get massages while you get free legal advice.
Yeah.
On how to get away with crimes.
Yeah, right. That's about it. Anyway, what would you like to talk about for this Bills game? I'll let you go ahead and just kind of take it away.
I think Sean McDermott is the first coach of all time to have CTE while coaching. Because that's the only thing that's like the only thing that even makes remotely sense on how you call a timeout in that situation. I still try to wrap around.
That's like me and Madden spamming no huddle or whatever and accidentally click the button in the middle and call timeout.
Yeah, exactly. Like that has to be the worst timeout call I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's there.
Absolutely brain dead.
See, he calls a timeout when he shouldn't, and then you got Matt Eberflus who should have called one and didn't. So
yeah, like I'm not gonna put all blame on him. Joe Brady probably shouldn't have called the QB sneak. Josh Allen probably should have audibled it out of a QB sneak when Brady called it, seeing how they were lined up. Should have called a pass play, so we were never even in that situation. But even when we are, that's where you'd be like, all right, quick, no huddle, and you waste what, maybe 15, 20 seconds versus calling a timeout, which wastes an instant 40 seconds because now the Rams automatically can have a play where they waste 40 seconds. So it just absolutely brain dead. And then people are like, what, you wanted to trust the defense? No, I agreed with the onside call. I just wish that after we failed the onside call, we had still 3 timeouts because then we have a sliver of a chance. Because then when the Rams, they were at like the 40-yard line, where exactly we would have probably had about, say, 30-ish seconds left. I'm going to look at the exact yard line we were at. I know it was around the 40.
I think more than anything that I would, if I'm in that spot, I would have came out and shotgun and then ran a quarterback draw with Allen from the shotgun. Just because then they would have thought we were throwing the ball, understanding that we didn't want to use the timeouts, and then the run would have worked. But on top of that, I think that the onside kick attempt should have never happened because if you kick it deep, either way, in my opinion, because of how low the onside kick odds are, you're basically trusting your defense either way. It's just a matter of how far backed up are the Rams. And I think if you start them from the 25 versus midfield, if they punt the ball, we're going to get the ball around our 40 or 30 to 40-yard line versus if they punt the ball from the 50, we're getting the ball at the 10. So realistically, we're closer for when we have to move down the field. I understand you're shaking your head, but in my opinion, that's
highly disagree with that. If they didn't go onside there, I would have called that a complete, even with all 3 timeouts, I would have called that a completely moronic move because with how bad our defense is playing, you have to give at least a sliver of a chance where we don't have to rely on our defense. Because with how bad our defense is playing, there's about as much chance as getting the onside as there was of our defense getting a stop. So you have to compound them together, because what we want to do is guarantee that we get the ball back. I don't really give a shit where we get the ball back because of how good Josh Allen is playing in that game. Whether we're at our 10 or at our 30, at our 40, if we have over 30 seconds left, even with no timeouts, I trust that Josh would have been able to get us down the field. I think he could have hit a chunk play, middle of the field, then get down, spike it with 15 seconds left, hit an out of bounds play to get to, like, let's say the 45, R45 with 8 seconds left, then hit another chunk play to get the 40-yard line with 4 seconds left, and then you trust Tyler Bass in the dome. And if he misses that, then it's like, okay, whatever. He missed. At least I trust that Josh would have been able to do that more than I trust relying on just our defense. So I highly disagree with, if we had all timeouts, not going onside there. I think we should have went onside. And then if we stop them, they punt or they kick a field goal and we have to score a touchdown. Either way, I trust Josh Allen to go and get us in that position because of how good he was in that game. I mean, that was probably the greatest quarterback performance of this entire season. He accounted for like 95 of his team yards, 6 touchdowns, no turnovers, and no sacks. I saw people bring up the Tampa game that Lamar had. Derrick Henry ran for 170 yards for that game. Lamar had a fumble that was recovered by Tampa and took 2 sacks. Josh had no turnovers or no sacks, so he didn't have a single negative play by him. Yeah, he missed some throws, but again, no negative plays, and 424 yards and 6 touchdowns is absolutely insane. He basically just locked up the MVP award as long as he doesn't play like shit these next couple of games. It's his. He is now on pace to have 5 straight seasons of 40-plus touchdowns. The current record before that was 3 set by Drew Brees. The active streak outside of Josh is 0, as he was the only quarterback to have 40 last year. Looks like this year there'll be 2 other quarterbacks with Lamar and Burrow on pace too. I mean, Burrow definitely, Lamar not so sure, just because 4 games left. He has to get 8, and Lamar will have games where he gets 0 or 1 because of Derrick Henry. So he might not even get to it. But that's a different tangent that I got off on. I'm also utterly disgusted with every single person on this defense except for Terrell Bernard and Christian Benford. Terrell Bernard played like an all-pro in this game. He was cooking. He had multiple run blitzes. He shot multiple gaps that he was like the only one that could do anything in the run game to get stops. He played great. And then Christian Benford, yeah, he allowed that catch to Puka, but that was one of the most insane catches I have ever witnessed in my entire life. Not blaming him for it. He got burnt like once or twice, whatever, against great receivers like that.
Also on a 3rd and 7, sorry to cut you off, but on a 3rd and 7, why do we have Cam Lewis and Jamarcus Ingram on the field? That really pissed me off.
Also, what pisses me off is we're going against the team that's number 1 in the league against zone, and then we inactivate our best man. We inactivate our best man corner. Kyrie Elam wasn't even active for this game. It's not like he was injured. Like, nah, you're good at man. We're against a team. We need to run man. Nah, you don't have to play. It's like, what are you like? I understand Elam hasn't been great, but he has shown flashes while being in man coverage. I mean, obviously the pick against the Steelers, the pick against the Dolphins in the playoffs, like he can make some plays. So the fact that you didn't even have him active to at least attempt to run some man coverage with him, because personally what I would have done, got Rasul off the field. I would have ran bracket coverage. I would have put probably Hamlin or Rapp over top with Elam on Puka. Then you put Benford on Kupp, and you trust, I think Benford could have held his own against Kupp, and then you trust Teron Johnson and our linebackers and our other safety to shut down Demarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell, which I think that would have made the most sense, but clearly that didn't. Usually common sense is not too common. But anyways, back to the Benford point. I think that obviously the Puka catch, he allowed like another catch to Puka, another one to Kupp, but he also had a couple of nice, really good PBUs. And overall, they just didn't really target him that much throughout the game because they were just targeting Rasul Douglas. But I made a mock draft for the Bills. In the first round, we take defensive lineman Walter Nolan. In the second round, we take edge rusher Donovan Azubuike. And then the next pick, we take defensive lineman Omar Norman Lott. In the 4th line, we take defensive lineman Shamar Stewart. In the 5th round, we take at pick 130, we take edge rusher Josiah Stewart. Later on in that same round, we take another defensive lineman, Darrell Jackson Jr. Then we finally take our non-first defensive lineman. We take Tommy Hill, cornerback out of Nebraska. Then we go right back to defensive lineman with Simeon Barron Jr. from Miami. Then with our next pick, we take an edge rusher, Kamanian Rucker. Then with their final pick, guess what? Another edge rusher, Antoine Royal Ryland. we end up in this class with 1, 2,
Six.
3, 4, 5 defensive linemen and 1, 2, 3,
edges.
4 edge rushers. And you just basically whoever ends up being good, sweet. Whoever ends up sucking, I don't really care. Just we have to draft as many because we have so far failed. That is the one thing Brandon Beane has failed as a GM.
That's like needing one good pitcher and you use your whole draft on just drafting all pitchers. Like one of them's got to
really,
be good.
yeah, exactly. Same with teams saying the same thing they should do with quarterbacks, or the Browns did it with wide receivers the one time. Obviously, the Browns failed miserably, but Beane in his entire tenure finally was able to get a good offensive line. Finally was able to draft some good receivers. Obviously, he's always been really good at drafting linebackers, very good with getting good safeties, very good with corners. The one thing he hasn't been able to do is build a defensive line. Greg Rousseau, I still think we should extend him. I still like him. I'm still excited for him. He had an awful game, but AJ Vanessa is a good depth piece. Von Miller's here or there. We're going to have to get out of his contract. DaQuan Jones is washed. Ed Oliver, what happened to you, buddy?
DaQuan Jones
fell
made
off
some nice plays in this game.
But overall, DaQuan Jones is pretty washed. Between
Yeah,
DaQuan
that's
Jones
true.
and Ed
He's older,
Oliver, they have a
too.
combined 3 sacks and 19 tackles. They are.
I think we don't even need edge rusher. I think we just need a defensive lineman.
We need another edge rusher.
No, I think we need a D tackle that can, do both pass rush and run block, like run stop.
In my honest opinion, I think that we need to do whatever in God's green earth to be possible with all the picks we have to move up and draft Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. That's like the only Kenneth Grant or that just him. I actually saw a mock draft last night on TikTok. Someone did a TikTok live, and they had the Bills draft. They're passing on Kenneth Grant, and we took Shamar Stewart instead. I'm like, I commented.
I like Shamar Stewart.
I mean, but
him.
If Kenneth Grant's on the board, I don't care. The only other person in this draft for the Bills that I would take over Kenneth Grant is his teammate Mason Graham. I would legitimately take for the Bills. I'd take Kenneth Grant over. Oh, and maybe Will Johnson. Those are probably the only 2 players in this class. I would take Kenneth Grant. I would, yeah, exactly, and Abdul Carter. But those guys obviously aren't going to be there. Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, Will Johnson. The only
interesting one, but
nope. Kenneth Grant. Any other defensive lineman outside of Mason Graham and Abdul Carter, I want Kenneth Grant for the Bills. Even if I don't think they're better, he's better fit for the Bills. Any other corner, give me Kenneth Grant. Any offensive lineman, give me Kenneth Grant. Obviously outside of top 10 picks, because there's a lot of top 10 guys I guess I'd take over Kenneth Grant. Any offensive lineman, give me Kenneth Grant. Any other wide receiver outside of Tet, give me Kenneth Grant. I don't care. I want Kenneth Grant because we have never had a true nose tackle run stopper.
Now that you say that, we're going to draft him and he's going to be complete shit.
I'll take my L. I guess the only other person I'd settle for in the first round is Walter Nolan. I wouldn't hate Walter Nolan. The only reason I want Kenneth Grant way more than Nolan is Walter Nolan, while looking really good and has the size,
we're going to get Landon Jackson from Arkansas.
And having the size with Walter Nolan, Walter Nolan looks like he could probably be a one tack. We just haven't seen it. Kenneth Grant, that's what he plays. He is the nose tackle. He is the one tack for Michigan. Walter Nolan's huge, and he's a great run defender. I think he could slide in to become a one tack and be good, but we don't know. So there's that, I guess, surprise that we're not sure if he could. Kenneth Grant, for sure that this dude eats up blockers, defends the run, even has a little pass rush juice. Like, give me him. And I think, honestly, while Eddie has fallen, and I don't want to not give him a lot of the blame, I think a lot of the blame on Eddie's struggles is that DaQuan Jones is playing bad. And Eddie is someone that needs to play next to someone who can eat up blockers so he can just get those one-on-ones the entire time because he's just too undersized and not powerful.
If he gets a one-on-one, it's wraps, bro.
That's why if we get a Kenneth Grant, ooh-wee, that's got me licking my chops. Give me Kenneth Grant next to Ed Oliver and then Greg Rousseau, and then in the second round you draft an edge rusher, I think. Maybe as I have Donovan or Azarike. You hope Javon Sullivan takes a step. Maybe you get someone in free agency. I think you got to cut Von though, just because we need the money. So I think there's a lot of things you can do, but that just Kenneth Grant on the Bills. That's got me dreaming. That's got me feeling some type of way. As I guess that's on for the defense. On the offensive side of the ball, this offense is nuts. This is the probably best offense of Josh's tenure. And not even close to the best cast he's had around him. It's just crazy how much better Josh Allen is playing this game compared to years past. He has the same production. He has the same big time throws while cutting down the turnovers in half. It's absolutely insane with a worse supporting cast. Khalil Shakir, dog. Matt Collins has been very impressive lately, dog. Offensive line, dogs. Running backs, they've been a little bit inconsistent, but we know James Cook and Ray Davis can have big games. Ty Johnson, I love those halfback screens we called with Ty Johnson. I think this is like the first time I saw us call halfback screen all year, and they worked to perfection. I would like to see us call more of those. I've been screaming for more halfback screens, wide receiver screens. We can do away with some of those halfback screens. I love those. I think we need to try those out more often. I love how Brady brought those out in this game to see how they worked, and both times
I
absolutely.
think we need to incorporate the cross screen a little bit more, where like we look one
Oh
way,
yeah,
and then turn to
on the
throw the other.
touchdown. Oh yeah, I love that. Where we because
That
everyone's
was
gonna
perfect.
because everyone's expecting us to throw it to Shakir because we throw so
Because
many of those screens.
see, that's the
And
thing.
then
Is
you
we've been doing that
backside.
all season, where we've
Exactly.
been throwing those screens, so it's perfect.
Oh, I've given Joe Brady a lot of flack. That was a beautiful play call. I really like that. But imagine how good our offense is going to be once Keon and Kincaid are back, which they should be back this week. Amari Cooper, that chemistry is really developing. But Matt Collins back at that wide receiver 4 role where he comes in to block, he comes in and can make some catches. I really like the way he's been playing. This offense has got me feeling some type of way. The problem is, what's been the issue every year that loses us in the playoffs? Sean McDermott gets outcoached by better coaches, and our defense falls apart. And that's where it's like, oh, everyone's, oh, stop being so negative. I'm not being negative. I'm just pointing out the fact that every single year in the playoffs, we've had the same issues come back to bite us in the ass. I thought, oh, maybe this year's different. And then in this game, those same issues came back to bite us in the ass. We couldn't stop the run. Sean McDermott got out schemed. Sean McDermott got out coached. Sean McDermott in the clutch shit his pants and made boneheaded play after boneheaded play. I didn't even mention the penalty he accepted to make it 3rd and 17, and then does that to get him out of field goal range and then plays prevent defense. Then why did you accept the penalty if you were just going to basically call prevent defense to let him get it all back anyways? Like I get if we're trying to keep him out of field goal range, then maybe play some press coverage or something. I don't know. Maybe actually call a play that will keep them out of field goal range, not call prevent soft zone bullshit that lets them get all the yards back. Now they have the momentum. Now they're deciding to go for it. Who knows if they go for it on 4th and 7? They might have just kicked the field goal. Or if they did, that's an extra 2 yards. Who knows if they called that exact play? Who knows if defensively we called the same play? Like, it was just absolutely pathetic for him to accept that penalty. And then, like, accepting the penalty is one thing, but then to compound it with that soft zone to let him get it all back, it just another awful decision by Sean McDermott. I like Sean McDermott. I don't think he's a bad coach. I'm not on the fire Sean McDermott no matter what. I think we could do a lot worse than him. I think he's in like the 8 to 12 range in head coaches. The issue is if he continues to make these boneheaded mistakes in crunch time, at some point it's going to have to be enough is enough, and we're going to have to move on. Like right now, I think out of available head coaches, I'd only be okay with firing McDermott if we could get one of 3: Brian Flores, Ben Johnson, or Liam Cohen. I don't think if we can get any of those guys, I think just keep McDermott. Like I think it could be a lot worse. I'm not one of those. Yeah, I think our head coaching position could get a lot worse. So I think I wouldn't be upset if McDermott comes back next year. But if it continues just year in and year out, at some point enough is enough, and we have to change it before we waste Josh Allen's entire prime. Done.
No, exactly. I totally get that. And the thing is with this team is there's been a lot of people saying for this next game, like I can't see the Bills losing 2 games. We literally lost 2 games earlier in the season, so I could very well see it. Also, I think, at least in my opinion,
Detroit's going to drop 50 on us.
Yeah. If we play anything like last week, I think if I can say anything about this is that I guarantee we don't get the 1 seed anymore, at least in my personal opinion. I get the Chiefs have to still play the Broncos, who have been good, the Steelers, the Texans, whatever. I don't care. The Chiefs are going to find a way to win those games because they always fucking do. So because of that, it's a little unfortunate in that regard, but I do think that this team's going to do enough. So I guess, are you ready to move on to the Sabres real quick?
Yeah, I have more to get off my chest for that team too. As I said, I had multiple rants. I mean, I had my Juan Soto rant, I had my Bills rant. Now it's time for Sabres rant 3.0. 3 straight episodes because we continue to keep fucking losing. What?
I need my
This
popcorn.
This team. We are now 1-3-1 when we run a goalie. If you don't pay attention to hockey, you're not really going to understand. But if you pay attention to hockey, that is just one of the most poverty things of all time. When teams are
Yeah,
playing so bad that they go to replace their goalie and then they still end up beating us is just pathetic. They pulled
that's
their
the
goalies last
equivalent
night's
of a
game,
team
and I
in
go,
college
"Oh,
football just switching their quarterback because they're playing so bad and then somehow still winning.
yeah." It's like if the Bills it's like the Bills were 1-4 in games where teams benched their starting quarterback. That's how pathetic that is. Have you ever seen a team be that bad? It's like we're literally right now. I would say we are the most poverty franchise in all of sports. I would put us below the Jets. I'd put us below the Browns. I'd put us below the White Sox because, like, at least the White Sox were good a couple years ago. Like, I genuinely think we are the most poverty organization in all of sports right now. It is absolutely pathetic, absolutely sickening. I'm going to read off the probability of us. It might be a little off because I just did it if there's only 15 teams in the conference, just because halfway through it went to 16. So I guess the odds are a little bit better than this, but not by a lot. The odds of missing the playoffs 14 straight years, if 8 out of 15 make it, which was what it was for half, then it went to 16. 1.50655 to the negative 30%. If you guys don't know what negative exponents means, that means there's 30 zeros before you get to a 1 in the percentage.
Yeah.
That is like, there is a higher percent chance that you win the 50-50 at the Sabres game than there is that you miss the playoffs 14 straight years in hockey.
Yeah,
that is just absolutely pathetic. Absolutely disgusting. Our defense is dog shit. They can't stop a single thing. And it's not even like these teams are just dangling us up and we just are outskilled. We're just out of position all the time. We just don't know what we're doing. I have never seen a team be so bad at getting the puck out of their own zone. That how you beat the Sabres, just get the puck in their zone and just pass it around a bunch. Someone will end up wide open because we'll get confused and everyone will get all discombobulated out of position. We won't be able to get the puck out of the zone because we're idiots. And if you just do that, just pass it around a bunch of times, you'll end up winning the game. That's what teams do.
Literally.
They get in their zone, they pass it around a bunch. Some retard will get out of position, and someone will be wide open, and our goalie's going to be going this, that, and the other way for 5 different directions, and finally someone's going to be able to put it home because can only do so much. It is just absolutely pathetic, absolutely thickening. Please Terry sell the team. Please Kevyn Adams get fired. Like it makes me sick. It's just I'm just so frustrated with this team. We've made one good free agent signing in 5 years at Kevyn Adams, and that's Jason Zucker, and he's a 32-year-old who he's probably going to end up trading for a second at the deadline or something like that. And the most frustrating part about this all is that if we beat the Red Wings and beat the Avalanche, 2 teams that we had multiple goal leads going into the third period, we'd be in the playoffs right now because the rest of the East is also playing bad. Like this was the chance to get ourselves a lead so we can make the playoffs this year because the rest, you think everyone in the East is going to continue? You think the Rangers are going to go on a full downward spiral? You think the Islanders, the Lightning, you think these teams are going to play this bad? Probably not. They're going to figure it out. Ottawa always turns it on the second half of the year. So this was the chance you get out to a lead. So when these teams finally wake up and start playing better, they can't come back. But nope, it's the Buffalo Sabres. You guys are going to play bad. We're going to find a way to play worse because we're poverty and we suck. It's them goddamn palm trees.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this Sabres team, but 7 straight losses, to say the least, is not
3 points
fun.
in 7 games.
Yeah, 3 points in 7 games, and those are all just from overtime / shootout losses because of the Winnipeg game, which is the game I went to, the Red Wings game, and then obviously the Vancouver game way back when it was just 2 games. So to say the least, this team has lowered expectations a lot. We're creeping towards another season of missing the playoffs, which is definitely not fun. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Anything else you want to add here, or I'm not going to get into? Yeah, I'm not going to get into too much here. But thank you guys so much for watching another episode of the Sports Lab podcast. We'll have one on Friday for you guys as well, which will be a fun one. It will be talking about our season predictions for Week 15 for the NFL. If you guys did enjoy this, please make sure you leave a like and consider subscribing to the YouTube channel as well. We're trying to grow.
We're up to
and
18.
every single day. We keep getting at least one more, so it's nice to see 18.
I know we've been growing a little bit lately. It's nice.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I'm Thomas. That's Alex. And we'll see you guys next time on the Sports Lab podcast.